Well, good morning, fishos. It's a Friday. That's fishery report time. And here we are again. Now, let's look at the weather briefly. Some storms last night woke me up, set the alarms off. Oh, what fun. But anyway, I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed this morning. So the weather outlook for the weekend looks okay, actually. It looks like it's swinging around to the north-northeast. So we're getting into that typical summertime weather, which is good, about time, because the bay is definitely fishing really, really well at the moment. So we'll begin there. So what's happening in the bay? Let's talk tuna first. Longtails have been there, been a little bit more sporadic, so numbers are dwindling. I think it's because the amount of boats and jet skis that are driving through them. So anyway, that's the way it goes. They'll disappear sooner rather than later, I reckon, but still a few mac tuna and plenty of bonito around. So we normally see the bonito turn up in the bay this time of year. So plenty of bonnies around inside the bay. Some salmon schools as well. So a group of salmon down at Little Beach yesterday I saw, but they were in the sanctuary zone. So just be wary of those sanctuary zones. I reckon I saw 6 boats chasing the tuna off Little Beach, and they were all in the sanctuary zone. So just be wary. Just remember, it's a sanctuary zone. Yes, we may not like it, but we have to abide by the rules, and it makes us fishermen look silly. So just remember, there is sanctuary zones. They're only fish. They will move, and they will move through. So just be wary of those sanctuary zones, that's for sure. Now, what else is happening in the bay? Some good mulloway caught this week. Some cracking mulloway, actually. I spoke to Josh, sent me a photo of a really nice fish. Caught up in the back half of the bay, a nice fish actually, on a live bay. Young KO caught a cracking one this week as well. So some good mulloway getting around. I spoke to Jack as well. He's been getting them on the vibes. The squid treks and the samaki vibes doing well on the dewies inside the bay, especially up around the Karua system there. Those 2 bridges fish really well. We're on the new moon, just past it, so tides will get a little bit smaller as the week goes on, but some good tides to go and target mulloway inside the bay at the moment. Be worth having a shot at the breakwater at Nelson Bay if you're land-based as well. Some good flatties around, some cracking flatties still. It's really heating up on the flatty front. I spoke to Pete and his young son Matt. Now an absolute cracker. I think it was 80 centimetres, he said, so an absolute beauty. So he's only a young fella doing well. So on a soft plastic, I believe it was on one of the new 5-inch bait junkie prawns. So did really well to nail that fish. So well done to young Matt for nailing a really nice lizard. So some good lizards around inside the bay. Now they're throughout the system. I know the Tilligary is fishing exceptionally well at the moment. Some really nice fish up that way. The water's cleared up that way. But that incoming tide up in behind the racks there, parallel to the racks, that's where those big girls lay. Up in the Tilligary. That's the structure, that's where the food is. So up in behind the oyster racks and get up there nice and quiet on the electric motor, and you should nail some good flatties up in there. So some good flatties there. Back around Taylor's Beach, they'll start to move down that way. But the good news is they're starting to get a few whiting down around Taylor's Beach on the flats there. So water's warming up, which means the whiting are getting in on the flats, which means surface lure time. So it's getting to that point of the time where surface lures will start to work really well on the whiting, and especially around this dark of the moon, when that tide sort of backs off a little bit next week. That'll be the time to go and target them, especially incoming tide. They love an incoming tide over the sand flats, and there's plenty of sand flats throughout Port Stephens, up the Tilligary there towards Taylor's Beach, over towards Pindimer, up towards Tarlee, the entrance crew. Lots of flats you can catch good whiting on surface lures around Port Stephens. And if you don't want to do that, well, then you can throw in a live yabby or maybe some worm there on the incoming tide. Really light leaders, and you should do pretty well on the whiting. Plenty of crabs around. We are selling crab traps like there's no tomorrow. So we just got a load of, and I'm looking at them straight away, of witches' hats, which you can modify and still use, and some drop nets as well. So plenty of crabs around at the moment, a few nice muddies as well. So definitely worth fishing for crabs at the moment. So that's what's happening in the bay. Oh, that's right. Yep, brim is still down the breakwater. We report that every week. Amazing brim season down off the breakwater. I reckon they should start to move on shortly, but still plenty of brim down there. And some rat kings harassing a few brim fishos down on the breakwater at the moment. So worth a shot there. Now, on the beaches and rocks, I reckon it'll be a good weekend. We've had a little bit of swell pop up, but I reckon it'll be a good weekend on the beaches and the rocks. Some good tides, favourable for fishing the beaches. I know last weekend there was some nice fish caught, even though the swell was up a little bit, but some good tailor and a 7-up fingal. Still those brim there. The ott whiting on the spit, I don't think it's sort of cracking at the moment, but there is the odd whiting there if you want to fish for those. Back down towards Kitty's Corner, again a few brim down in the gutters down there. There's a nice little gutter still out the front of the caravan park, which you can have a fish there. Now Samurai's been fishing pretty well there. Although Samurai likes the smaller tides rather than the bigger tides, so I think Samurai will fish really good next week if you want to give it a crack. And Barubi, lots of gutters down Barubi, definitely worth a shot down there, and worth a shot for a mulloway down in those gutters as well. Now on the rocks, a little bit hit and miss this week, but I reckon it'd still be worth a fish for a snapper off the rocks. Get a good burley trail going off the rocks, first light, last light, especially that last light because we're coming into that evening tide. Be worth a shot for a snapper off the rocks. There are some kings around. They've been a little bit sporadic this week. That swell jacked up a little bit, made the water a little bit murky, but once it clears off, the kings will be in around the rocks there. So definitely give that a crack at the moment. Now, on the offshore scene, some good snapper around. The big gibber had some really nice reds during the week, just offered a little bit, so some really nice snapper up that way, a few trag on it as well. Best technique to fish the gibber is just fish a pilly on a ball sinker, cast it out as far as you can, and just let it slowly waft down, and the snapper will come up and grab it. The good thing is you can fish a paternoster and have one of those sit in the rod holder, and away you go. So good technique to get some good reds up that way. Some sandies off the edge of it, actually some good sand flat if you want to have a drift off it in that 40 to 50 metres, so worth a shot there. Up at Seal Rock, some big kings up at Seal's Eye here, harassing a few snapper fishermen, so definitely worth a shot. Throwing some stick baits up there and some plastics for a few reds at the moment. Now back down around Broughton Island, I spoke to Laurie. Speaking of kings, he had a live bait there and got annihilated around the sisters. So he said, I think he went 4-0 or 0-4. So on some good kings. So some good kings around if you want to stick bait or live bait at the moment. It is spring. They should be, and which they are at the moment. Definitely worth fishing for some snapper around this dark moon in the shallows in around Broughton, Codrock, the sisters, all those areas as well. Out further, 21, the V, definitely worth a shot there. A couple of early season trag will definitely be the go. It's also time to start thinking about fishing those 100-metre marks for those deep water dewies. The only thing is you're only allowed one per person, which makes it a little bit hard when you're fishing that deeper water, but worth a shot at the moment. Now, the closer islands, worth a troll. If you've got some smaller hard bodies, some salmon tail or bonito in the washes there, the odd king around Little Island, not big fish there, but there are some kings around Little Island, so worth a shot there. Fingal as well. Now back down towards Boulder Bay, Boat Harbour, fishermen's, and definitely worth a snapper on the inshore. Now I spoke to Zenon. He fished the shelf last weekend and had 5 bites out of striped marlin. There was some really good water looking, shaping up out on the shelf. There was current pushing down, current pushing up on the inside. So he found a patch of bait and found 1 striped marlin from 5. So a bit of a technical issue there, but that's marlin fishing if you ask me. They can bite one day, not the next, but it's good to see some striped marlin on the shelf early. But it is, well, it is November now, 1st of November, so definitely worth a look. There has been some dolphin fish on the fad. Hit and miss a little bit though, some smaller fish, and then we get the odd good ones. So worth a fish at the fad at the moment for a few dollies, that is for sure. So we'll keep an eye on that. It is getting to that pointy end where we start seeing marlin on the edge of the shelf, a few dolphin fish. Definitely worth a look, that is for sure. Give it another month, I think, and it'll start to happen, definitely. Anyway, that's it for this fishing report. Looks like a good weekend. Get out there and get fishing.